Hello guys, welcome back to BP Reaction. I'm Peter.
I'm Vicky.
Welcome for today's episode. Is I think a documentary, but it's about Supertramp, a band that we have been jumping in and their journey. It has been a nice and interesting journey. So for today's documentary is the rise and fall of Supertramp, for rising hard rock stars to a band that I think it's a continuation to a band that
imploded.
That imploded. Okay.
Rise and fall of Supertramp, from rising hard rock stars to a band that imploded. Interesting.
Enjoy with us, guys, to the end. This was brought and sponsored by Dan. So thank you, Dan, for another Supertramp episode here. Thank you for something interesting, guys. Stay with us to the end.
And don't forget to subscribe. Maybe you're new here or you love what we do. Remember, we react to music, videos, documentaries, movies, comedy, any of your favorite. So you can basically share any of your favorite with us for you to watch with you. For you to share any song, you go to our Buy Me Coffee link. We have a link on the description. Check it out and then share your song there. We'll be watching it. We also have our Patreon community whereby we post all the movies there. So if you're a movie fan, join our Patreon, watch the movies there, and even feel free to share your favorite movie via our Buy Me Coffee link on the description. So let's dive in and see what we can learn here.
The strongest thing to do would be to continue as Supertramp rather than all scatter, and I would do my album and Roger would do his album.
It was wonderful. The whole Supertramp adventure was incredible. I started when I was 19. I made a lot of great music with the band, and then it was time to stop.
What if the perfect partnership was built on a lie? London, 1969. Rickdavies, a working-class piano player obsessed with blues and jazz, places an ad in Melody Maker. Rogerhodgson, a 19-year-old from private school with an angelic voice, answers. Opposites, instant chemistry. They form Supertramp, and the credits say every song is written by Hodgson and Davies together.
Roger Hodgson and myself are the main composers. We write just about everything.
But here's the truth. They wrote separately. Every hit. Roger alone. Rick alone. They just pretended to collaborate. Breakfastinamerica sold 20 million copies. The Thelogicalsong became a cultural anthem.
Come true, but there's not a lot I can do.
But by the time those songs hit #1, Roger and Rick couldn't stand to write in the same room.
Why?
In 1983, Roger left. They made a verbal agreement. Rick keeps the Supertramp name. Roger keeps his songs. Rick promised to make music with dignity. He broke the promise. 42 years later, Rickdavies died in September 2025 at age 81. Rogerhodgson is still alive, still touring, still bitter. They never reconciled, never spoke again. The hits live forever, but the partnership died in 1983. This is Supertramp. This is how two opposites...
So from 69 to 83.
Yeah, to 83.
So the band was just made like for two people. Yes, it was a band of 5.
Yeah, for composers, songwriters.
Yeah, but the 2 was the one who started the band, and when they split it, they made an agreement. Like one keeps his songs, and the other one keeps the name of the band. Yeah.
It's created magic, then spent 4 decades destroying each other over who owned it. The Opposites Attract, 1969 to 1973. London, August 1969. Rickdavies was 25 years old and broke. His band, The Joint, had just collapsed. But Davies had something most struggling musicians didn't. A Dutch millionaire named Stanley Musicgeass, who believed in his talent and was willing to fund another attempt. Davies placed an ad in Melody Maker looking for musicians. Among the 93 guitarists who auditioned was a wiry 19-year-old named Rogerhodgson. They couldn't have been more different.
Okay.
Davies grew up working class in Swindon, obsessed with jazz, blues, and Ray Charles. His voice was a raspy baritone, tough and cynical.
You know you gotta learn the golden rule. The teacher tells you stop your playing, get up.
Hodgson came from private school education, raised on the Beatles and melodic pop. His voice was an angelic tenor that could soar into falsetto. One was grit, the other was light. But when they played together, something clicked. The chemistry was instant. They named the band Daddy, then changed it to Supertramp in January 1970, inspired by a 1908 book, The Autobiography of a Supertramp by Welsh writer W.H. Davies. Their self-titled debut album dropped in July 1970. 13 days later, they played the legendary Isle of Wight Festival. It should have been the beginning of something huge. Instead, the album flopped. Their second album, Indelibly Stamped, released in 1971, flopped even harder. It gained more attention for its topless cover than the music inside. The drummer, Robert Miller, had a nervous breakdown after a disastrous tour of Norway. The lineup kept changing. Guitarists came and went. Drummers quit. But Davies and Hodgson stayed. They were writing songs separately, not together, but crediting everything as Hodgson and Davies. The lie that would define them had already started. They just didn't know it would eventually destroy everything. The Breakthrough, 1973 to 1977. By 1973, the chaos finally stabilized. Dougiethomson joined on bass in 1972. Saxophonist Johnhelliwell came aboard in 1973, brought in by Thompson. Drummer Bobsiebenberg completed the lineup. With Rickdavies and Rogerhodgson on dual keyboards and vocals, this became the classic Supertramp, the lineup that would define everything. Crime of the Century dropped in 1974, and it changed everything. Dreamer, written by Hodgson, became their first major hit. Bloodywellright, Davies' cynical social satire, followed. School, Hodgson's haunting meditation on his boarding school alienation, showcased their sophisticated prog pop sound. The album hit number 4 in the US and went diamond in Canada. They weren't struggling anymore. They were stars. But here's what nobody saw. They were still writing separately. Hodgson in one room, Davies in another. The credits said Hodgson and...
So how were they able to combine the songs? And,
I think everyone came with
agree with the song. Or you could write it separately, then they played like different songs. Just written specifically by one person, then
but played by both. That was the trick.
Davies on everything. But they weren't collaborating. They were creating solo, then slapping both names on it. Producer Ken Scott compared them to Lennon and McCartney. The comparison was accurate, but not the way people thought. Like Lennon and McCartney, they wrote independently despite joint credit. Crisis? What Crisis? Came in 1975, rushed and assembled from leftover material. Moderate success? Nothing special. Then 1977 brought Even in the Quietest Moments, recorded in Colorado. The cover showed a grand piano draped in snow on a mountaintop. Givealittlebit, written by Hodgson as a teenager and inspired by the Beatles, became a worldwide anthem. The band relocated to Los Angeles, embedding themselves in the California music scene. That same year, Davies and Hodgson made a decision that seemed generous, but would haunt them forever. They reduced their 50% songwriting shares to give royalties to Thompson, Helliwell, and Siebenberg, the non-writing members. It was kind. It would become a legal nightmare. The Pinnacle, 1978 to 1979. April 1978. Supertramp entered the studio to record what would become their masterpiece. The sessions stretched over 10 months, from April 1978 to February 1979. Engineer Peter Henderson watched them closely. He later said Davies and Hodgson were getting along fantastically well throughout the entire process. Everyone was really happy. The calm before the storm. The songs came together brilliantly. Thelogicalsong, written by Hodgson about his boarding school identity crisis, asked the question that defined a generation.
Playfully watching me, but then they sent me away.
Please Tell Me Who I Am. Breakfastinamerica, the title track Hodgson had written when he was just 19, captured a young man's dream of American fame. Takethelongwayhome explored feeling trapped despite success. Goodbyestranger, Davies' falsetto showcase about one-night stands and freedom, hit number 15.
Yeah.
But there was tension nobody saw. Davies hated Breakfast in America. He fought Hodgson over it. Years
Why?
later, Hodgson admitted the truth. Rick hated the song. I don't think he even played on it. I had to fight for some of my songs because he didn't like them. The album dropped March 29th, 1979. It exploded. Number 1 on the US Billboard chart
And we have just done Supertramp
Yeah.
eventually.
for 6 weeks. Number 3 in the UK. 4 hit singles. 20 million copies sold.
Oh.
Diamond certification in Canada. One of the biggest albums of 1979, trailing only Pink Floyd, the Bee Gees, and Michael Jackson. Supertramp had reached the absolute peak. But halfway through the world tour, something broke. Hodgson later said the fun went out of it. His family began to fall apart. In 1981, he moved from Los Angeles to Northern California, building a home studio. The geographic separation mirrored the emotional distance. The group harmony was lost. They just didn't know it yet. The fracture, 1980 to 1982. The distance between Northern California and Los Angeles was only 400 miles, but it might as well have been an ocean. Rogerhodgson had moved his family away from the LA music scene in 1981, building a state-of-the-art home studio. He wanted time with his 2 young children. He wanted a simpler life closer to nature.
A family. I had 2 small children, and I was at a crossroads. I realized that I couldn't do both well.
The rest of Supertramp stayed in Los Angeles. The geographic separation created an emotional rift that couldn't be bridged. The creative differences that had always simmered beneath the surface were now boiling over. Hodgson wanted to continue the commercial, accessible approach that made Breakfast in America a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Davies wanted to return to concept albums and long, progressive pieces. They couldn't agree on the band's direction anymore. Then the personal tensions exploded. Band manager Dave Margerison resigned in July 1983 after a falling out. Rickdavies' wife, Sue, took over as manager. There was friction between Roger's wife and Sue. Professional and personal lives were colliding. The album Famous Last Words, released in 1982, was torture to make. Hodgson later called it a really difficult album because there was no unity anymore. Good songs were left off and ended up on his solo work or the band's next album. He didn't like the result. The single, Itsrainingagain, written by Hodgson on a day he felt sad about losing a friend, hit number 11. The metaphor was obvious. He was losing the band.
Yeah.
During the Famous Last Words tour, Hodgson made his decision. He was done. In September 1983, he left Supertramp. He couldn't reconcile the business aspect with the original passion that went into it. Before he walked away, he and Davies made a verbal agreement, witnessed by the other band members. Davies would keep the Supertramp name. Hodgson would keep his songs for solo purposes. Davies promised him directly, "I realize the band isn't going to be as successful in the future, but I just want to make music with dignity." Roger believed him. The Davies era and Broken Promise, 1984 to 1988. The aftermath was immediate and messy. Manager Dave Margerison had already left in July 1983. When Hodgson walked away in September, the sound engineer and several crew members followed him out the door. Sue Davies, Rick's wife, became the full-time manager. The band had to rebuild without the voice that sang their biggest hits. Brother Where You Bound dropped in 1985, the first album without Hodgson. It was a deliberate statement. Davies returned to the progressive rock complexity he'd always wanted, leaving behind the pop accessibility that Roger had championed. The 16-minute title track featured guitar solos from Pink Floyd's David Gilmour, a Cold War epic that showcased Davies' darker, more experimental vision. The single Cannonball hit the top 30. The album reached number 20 in the UK and number 21 in the US, respectable, but nothing like the Breakfast in America era. For 5 years, Davies kept his word. From 1983 to 1988, he toured without performing Hodgson's songs. No Logical Song, no Dreamer, no Breakfast in America, no Givealittlebit, no Take the Long Way Home. Supertramp set lists featured only Davies' written material. He was making music with dignity, just as he'd promised. Free as a Bird followed in 1987, continuing the progressive direction. The commercial decline continued. By 1988, the band reached a mutual agreement. Supertramp had run its course. They disbanded. Davies alone couldn't sustain the success. The truth was brutal. The hits everyone wanted were Roger's songs. The Betrayal, 1996 to 2012. In 1996, Davies reformed Supertramp with returning members Johnhelliwell and Bobsiebenberg, plus new musicians. They released Some Things Never Change in 1997 and Slow Motion in 2002. But something had changed. Davies started performing Hodgson's songs again. The verbal agreement made in 1983 was broken. At first, Davies was cautious, but as fan pressure mounted, he added more and more Hodgson material to set lists. By the late 1980s, Supertramp concerts substantially comprised Hodgson's biggest hits. Hodgson watched from afar, hurt and angry. Initially, it wasn't difficult because Rick upheld his agreement, he said later. But since the late 80s, he's been doing anything but making music with dignity. The artist in him has sold out. Reunion attempts in 1993 and 2005 failed. Hodgson was willing to return if Davies stopped playing his songs. Davies refused. The 2010 O2 Arena show was the final straw. Davies advertised the 40th anniversary tour heavily with Hodgson's songs and performed 7 of them. Basically him saying, "Fuck you, Hodgson, I'm going to do what I want," Roger said. That doesn't feel good. The Legal Battles and Final Chapter, 2005 to 2025. The 1977 royalty agreement came back to haunt everyone. In 2005, Thompson, Helliwell, and Siebenberg sued Davies, demanding control over catalog rights. In 2024, a Los Angeles court initially sided with Hodgson. Victory was short-lived. August 2025, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed the decision. Hodgson must share streaming revenues with the non-writing members. The 1977 agreement stood. Rickdavies had been diagnosed with multiple myeloma in 2015, canceling that year's European tour. He battled blood cancer for over a decade. On September 6, 2025, he died at age 81 at his Long Island home. His wife Sue beside him after 5 decades together. With Davies' death, Supertramp officially ended. Rogerhodgson, now 75, still tours solo, performing the hits he wrote. 42 years separated them from 1983 to 2025. Multiple reunion attempts failed. Legal battles consumed the legacy. They never reconciled. Davies died without reconciliation. The music endures, the partnership didn't. Two opposites created magic, then spent 4 decades destroying each other over who owned it. Was the split necessary or tragic? Could Roger and Rick have stayed together? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more classic rock stories.
Yeah, I think starting with the narrator's version, there is no breakup that is necessary. There is always a solution for that.
Yeah, and I feel like if they verbally agreed, I feel like they maybe could document that agreement so that if they decided to part ways with like an agreement, they wouldn't have like the ups and downs later after the agreement. Because I feel like Hudson and Davies were like yes, the founders of the band, and if they agreed mutually, like yes, you can keep the band name, you can take the bands, but just give me my songs that I wrote. I think that was a fair agreement, and it would be very much easier for them to keep that agreement and just not have like arguments, having to like have quarrels later.
And this it gets to the number of other bands that really struggle to stay stronger together back in the centuries that came before us, and also gives us a reason to how we should handle things and go on with it. As apart from the time in the 80s, you see what the decision they made in the 80s haunted them till that.
Yes. And also that the decision that made like the other band members that were not contributing in the songwriting will also have some rights to like all the songs. Like the other 3 came and haunted Davies later because of that that agreement they made.
But by listening just to the Trump's music, we could find that there's a hidden story if it wasn't for Dan. So thank you, Dan, for bringing such an interesting
Exactly, yeah.
history of the interesting band we are jumping to. But this doesn't give it a break on what we are doing on the Supertramp.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I've just seen so many interesting songs that we will be likely jumping into them as soon as possible, like the Breakfast in was it Breakfast in
Oh, the song in America, in America, which was the first #1 hit in UK and US for them.
Yeah.
And also, when we will be doing now, guys, if you know, you can be maybe classifying who wrote this and who wrote this.
Because we've seen like they wrote songs differently, individually.
Yeah.
So that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Dan, for such an interesting vibe. And guys, don't forget to bring also your favorite band. Is it an artist? Is it a movie, a documentary, or our family? We like doing this each and every day, and we like what we do each and every day. So bring your favorite.
Yeah, and share more information, maybe anything that you've forgotten, anything that was not mentioned here, any correction you would like to give us. We will appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon.
We are out.
Bye-bye.